I can do what I want when I want to do it. I can do what I need when I need to get through it. When I need someone else, can't be too proud for help, but gotta look after myself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to good days. What a good day is. And that's exactly what the day is. But it's exactly what you make it. So please don't go wasting. And I'll do the same, even if it's raining. How could I complain? And my feels got me feeling some type of way. You always free to take a break. Hope you feel what I felt. You gotta look after yourself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics. Oh, what a good day is.
All right, here we go.
What a good day is.
It is a beautiful day today. The sun is shining-ish. It's Friday. We got snow in Atlanta. Oh my God. What is going on? Y'all know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. We're gonna go ahead and get into it. Let me see how we're looking though on this snowy day. Ooh-wee. We looking all crispy and clean on the screen for real. Yeah, that lighting's looking nice. Welcome, y'all. Welcome back to another YouTube live stream and another episode of the Music Morning Show. I'm your host, ClassE Beats at ClassEbeats.com. And today we are going to get into some interesting stories. We've got Fani Willis's first exclusive interview from the AJC. Shout out to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. We're going to be reviewing that, see what's going on, what Fani's talking about. We know she's going to be complaining, but maybe she'll give some more insight into how she thinks as a DA and as a person. So that'll be interesting. Also, we've got some more Tory Lanez news. Thanks to Megan Cuniff. TikTok is getting banned. Woo! A lot of y'all are going to be down bad. I know most of us are in our 30s and older, so some of y'all at this point either love or hate TikTok. So you'll have to let me know what you think about that in the comments. And then we got a couple other things as well. Thank y'all for being here. I got to shout out the family though, as usual. You know I got to show y'all some love and thank y'all for being in the show. We've got my awesome, amazing Amy, of course, is in here. Shout out to Amy in the building. Michi is in here as well with the first super chatter today. What'd she say? Like, comment, share. Let's get ClassE Beats to 100K by February 1st. I appreciate y'all. Thank you to everybody who's in here showing love. Actually, Les had a super chat in here earlier too. Where did it go? I cannot find it for some reason. Les, I did see your super chat earlier though. Dang. Les sent one in way earlier, but he also sent in another super chat as well. He dropped 10 memberships. So if you got a membership from Les Cleaver, please make sure you say thank you. Shout out to Les Cleaver. We've got Sea Travel is up in here. We've got Nosy Rosie in the building. Mr. Brown, Bitter Lily's up in the building. Trisha's in here. Valencia, good to see you. We've got Gwen, Nicole, Julie, Angela, D-Lo, Miss 86 is in here as well. Lady E, good to see you. We got Gerald back in the building. Mo Mac is up in here. Peter, shout out to Peter Steele. Jessica White. We've got Rona, Cold Pepsi. Shout out to Cold Pepsi. And I know there's a couple more of y'all that I missed. I will be saying good morning to y'all as we go throughout the show. But I do need to ask you a favor while we get into it. If you could, please make sure you like the video on your way in. Not only is it free, not only does it help the channel and the show continue to grow and help us reach our goal of 100K, but it lets the algorithm know that y'all are enjoying the show and it shares the video with more people. So if you take 2 seconds and do that, I would greatly appreciate it. And shout out to Sea Travel says, y'all keep the snow up there, ClassE. Where are you at, Sea Travel? It's snowing in Georgia. Let me see if I can find a video for y'all. You probably won't be able to see it. This is the video I took outside of my studio. Let me see. I wish I could put it up on the screen. Hold on, y'all probably won't be able to see this. I should just download it and put it up there. Can y'all see that? Y'all can kind of see it. Look at all of that snow. This is right outside my window at my studio, and it's insane. Y'all can see it pretty well. And that's the parking garage. It's got to be 4 or 5 inches of snow, and then the ground all around it is crazy. And then you can see the interstate up there, and then across the street, that is all road. Yeah, it's wild out here in Atlanta. People are panicking. So I get up early. I do my stuff in the gym, get set up and ready for the show. And when I came into the studio this morning, there was hardly anything. It wasn't snowing. It wasn't sleeting. And that was probably around 6 or so this morning. And then as it got closer to 7, it started to come down. I took a video and posted on my Instagram. And then less than an hour later, it looked like what I showed y'all in that video. So yeah, snow in Atlanta is crazy. The last time it snowed here, I went back and looked at my Google Photos. It was January of 2022. Insane. But the kids are loving it. They're outside playing around, making snowballs, having snowball fights and stuff. So hey, I ain't mad at it. Y'all let me know where you're at right now. Let me know what city you're in. I see some of y'all said in Florida. Okay, they're feeling good. Who else? I was saying use a VPN. Christine said, let's see what lies she comes with now. Yeah, I'm a boomer that does Facebook and don't know IG, so definitely don't know TikTok. Yeah, I'm with you, Nosy Ren. I have, and I upload content maybe 3 times a week to TikTok, but I have never been on TikTok just scrolling. This just hasn't been a platform for me that I haven't gotten into. Jay the teen is in here, says, I'm tired, but I'm here. Appreciate you. Geo weathering. Where are y'all at? Just north of Clearwater, Florida, says Sea Travel. Yeah, I don't think we're going to send y'all any snow. When's the last time Florida's got snow, if ever? We've got Denver, Colorado in the building. Tejas, shout out to Texas. Arizona. I don't think they're going to see any of this snow. We've got Texas, Chicago, the UK. Shout out to the UK, to our friends across the pond. We've got North Carolina. Y'all are probably getting some of this. Chicago, Denver, Maryland, New York, Germany. Okay, Michael Schmidt. He's the one who sent that email to Fani Willis's office about Miss Love. He said, hey, we got to get her out of there. Oh, South Carolina. Shout out to the 843 and the 803. We got Tennessee, my favorite state in the U.S. Who else? We've got Newcastle, UK, and it's freezing. Connecticut, Dora, Alabama, Hartford, Connecticut, a little snow tomorrow. We got Jamaica in here. I probably just ruined that. Flint, Michigan. Shout out to Michigan in the building. New Mexico, Kansas, Colorado. Okay. I want to get out to Colorado at some point. We've got Arkansas up in here. Shout out to the 305. FFS is in the building. Yeah, y'all are from everywhere. Hopefully everything's good with y'all. I know, again, California is dealing with all the wildfires. I think everything's starting to settle down. People are getting to go back to, well, what's left of their homes, not really their homes. So y'all continue to say a prayer for everyone that's out there in the LA area specifically. And man, they're going through it right now. And if anyone's in California and specifically in that LA area or the area that was affected by the fires, please let us know if there's anything we can do to help and support. I think Biden's came out and said that they're going to be covering everything when it comes to disaster relief for California. So hopefully y'all will get some relief soon. Again, politics, I don't know how that's going to go, but something is definitely better than nothing. Yeah, Amy's in Atlanta in Pineappleopolis. That is a fact. Shout out to Amy over there. Pray for Cali. Yeah. Daco says Bikini Bottom. Yeah, I bet some people wish they were in Bikini Bottom right now. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Again, if you could take a second and like the video, I would greatly appreciate it because it's free and it does help the channel continue to grow. All right, let's see what Fani Willis is talking about up in here. FFS says, I grew up in the 313, so 30 to 40 degrees ain't nothing to me. Oh, look at FFS with the bars. I see you over there, man. So this interview from the AJC was just posted recently, and it seems like this interview took place before everything went down with Fani getting kicked off the Trump case. So it'll be interesting to see how she thinks, how she was thinking during the YSL trial was going on, and what are her thoughts on everything that's happening with this case. So it's a little bit of a rewind, but the AJC just dropped this. Go check out the Atlanta Journal Constitution, and I'll post the clip, or I'll post the link to this video so you guys can go and watch the full thing. Here we go. Let's see what she's talking about.
What I have learned is it doesn't matter what I do, people gonna have something to say.
Ooh, I got it on super speed. Hold on a second. Let me rewind it. Boom.
What I have learned is it doesn't matter what I do, people gonna have something to say. I don't think anyone should be surprised if I walk into the court to defend any case that I have here. In your 50s, you start learning they're gonna say something either way, but what you should get up and do is do the right thing every day. Then you don't have to do a bunch of explaining because you tried to do hula hoops or backflips to make something work. If you just follow the facts, follow the law, it takes you to where you naturally should end up as an officer of the court.
How do you feel about the strength of your case at this point?
I bring indictments when I am confident in the evidence we bring, and so I'm at the same place I was on the day we indicted.
Okay.
And they're specifically talking about the indictment on Trump.
You know, probably more so than maybe national viewers, that when I took office, I changed the philosophy of the way we charge cases in this office. And so it's very important to me that any case, whether it's a theft by shoplifting or possession of drugs or murder or some white collar crime, that we get all of the evidence together, and once we are satisfied with we have enough evidence, we bring charges. And so that is followed on every single case in this office. I thought it was an unethical practice to charge people by police just faxing over a paragraph, and then based on that you bring charges. You put a lot of people in a bad position where they have the scarlet letter of an indictment. You really didn't have good evidence because you didn't do the research. I thought it was bad for the people that were charged as well as victims, because you don't do a good job of making sure that you have a strong case. So there's nothing unique about any case in this office. The process is the same every time.
We're coming up on the end of the year, and I'm hoping to reflect a little bit on this case over the course of the year. Has it kind of unfolded in the way that you thought it would?
I didn't put predictions on that case. Just like any other, it's very important to me that you just start with an open mind. It's kind of like in most cases, you get a complaint and then you investigate. So I didn't have predictions of how long. People were very frustrated with time, but people need to learn to be patient. Justice takes time, and so the process is always the same.
But looking back on indictment day, the last time I spent, a ton of time at this courthouse, and it ended up going much faster, I think, than, people were expecting, a 2-day presentation to the grand jury. It ended up going pretty quickly. Can you reflect on what that day was like for you here?
Just another long day. It was a very long day in the office. I guess personally, I just remember being very tired. And other than that, the process was the same.
They indicted, just as a quick reminder, they indicted 19 people in this indictment. There were some pleas taken in this, I believe, but something to keep in mind as well. And we've gone through the indictment, and everyone who was indicted there as well. It's a crazy case.
Will say that you're correct in that we had planned to present witnesses over 2 days, and we were able to do it in one very long day as opposed to 2 days. But other than that, I think that was really just more of an election to keep going as opposed to let's stop and come back in the morning.
One of the most surreal moments, I think, for both of us was when President Trump came to surrender at the Fulton County Jail, and there were so many people out there. It was such a circus, and the motorcade going through the downtown connector. What was it like seeing that mugshot for you that first time?
I mean, obviously, I wasn't at Rice Street when any defendant checked themselves in.
Oh, not Rice Street.
America nor reporters, you all really do not believe fundamentally, because if you did, it wouldn't be so interesting, that everyone is the same. So the process is always the same. And so why is that news that it's, and you know, clearly it is, it's not a criticism of you because people comment on it, but it shouldn't be news that any defendant has to go through the process. So
Boy, this is ironic. It's ironic to hear Fani Willis about saying how people are normal and doesn't go, and everyone goes through the process, unless you're a DA, of course, and then you don't have to show up for meetings or hearings that you're subpoenaed for. You can feel like you don't have to give someone information they're asking for through an ORA. If you're Fani Willis, you're above the law, right? You are the law. So it doesn't apply to her, but regular people, you know, like a former president, he's just like us.
So it wasn't anything special to me. I've seen a lot of bookend photos in my day. It's another bookend photo from somebody charged with a crime.
Something a little different this time. We just saw on the way over here that Trump is selling pieces of his suit from from Surrender Day to donors. I'm wondering what you make of that.
She looks so annoyed. Look at her face. She looks so annoyed with this interview. I'm surprised she did this, to be honest.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And what has this done for your life personally? I know that you've testified a lot about the personal threats you've received, but can you reflect a little bit on that and how it's changed your life and maybe your own personal sense of security walking through the world?
We have a lot of people that are mentally ill in the world. It's clear to me that people are offended when everyone is treated equally. And so as a result, I have a lot of ignorant, probably mentally ill people that lodge threats at me and my family. That's obviously, no one wants to have themselves threatened or their families threatened. So I take proper precautions, none of which I'll discuss because I wouldn't want my safety or my family's safety to be jeopardized by discussing them. It is a shame, though, that we are at a time in Americans' history where if someone doesn't like a decision, that they think that it's appropriate to call them racist names, which I've definitely been called, you know, everything from a slave whore to the N-word more times than I can count. There's usually ugly racial identifications, like you're going to be hung or you'll be raped and hung, just things to bring terror.
Yeah,
but
Lady
I've said
Justice
it before,
is
and
blind
I've
unless
said
you're
it
Fani
again. They're
Willis.
wasting their time.
Wow.
You've gotten 4 plea agreements so far. How important was it to get those plea agreements, and how important
Here we go.
is that to your case going forward?
I won't discuss any open case. I can just talk about process, and I think you've probably heard.
That's so funny. She said she won't talk about open cases, but she was definitely up in Big Bethel talking all about this Trump case. And Ashley Merchant even mentioned that before, and it was brought up during the YSL trial. I'm trying to remember. I wish I could remember who brought it up. I'm pretty sure it was Doug Weinstein talking about how Fani Willis, or the DA's office, I think he said, was even in one church talking about an ongoing trial. And he mentioned that to Judge Whitaker. I'll have to go back and see if I could find the clip, but I find it ironic that she says this now.
Heard it before. Wow. And you, I know, are someone who is an actual experienced journalist and experience with the courtroom and the way criminal cases proceed. Plea agreements in the criminal practice, you often give them because someone wants to take responsibility for what they did. That's why you'll give someone a lesser sentence, because it's an important part is to just have attrition and say, you know, I apologize, I shouldn't have been involved in this conduct. And it often helps you in making sure that you're able to prove your case, although you should do that at the time of indictment, whether you have a plea or not. But certainly plea agreements in every case make a case stronger.
Well, is our understanding that there have been some defendants who have turned down pretty favorable plea deal offers at this point? What do you think of the progress? Were you expecting to have more plea deals in place by this point in the process?
I'm not surprised where we are in the process. It's a long road.
I saw you for months at a time every day in the APS trial in court. Worked out pretty well. We saw you for the first time in court in the revocation hearing for Harrison Floyd, and I guess I'm just wondering if we're going to see you in court more often in this case.
So just to correct the record, when we were in
Little did she
a
know.
pre-indictment stage in this case, I did appear in court,
Right,
but
yeah.
you're speaking post-indictment. I told somebody recently, and I think it's true, and you'll probably appreciate this more than other reporters, I don't think anyone should ever be surprised if D.A. Willis enters a courtroom. That's like not something that should surprise you, and so that's not a straight answer, I guess, but I don't think anyone should be surprised if I walk into the court to defend any case that I have here.
Your name's on the
And at one point, she had to defend herself, as we know. It seems like this interview that AJC dropped, it was maybe a little bit older and is going back probably, I want to say maybe a year plus now. But it's still interesting to hear how she framed all of this, knowing what was going on behind the scenes and what was going to come out later.
indictment.
My
So
name's
you-
on every indictment, and so ultimately my assistant district attorneys are carrying out my duties and responsibilities.
Do you think it's possible you might make an appearance at trial, whenever the trial comes?
I think it's very possible.
Okay.
That hearing with Harrison Floyd, it seemed, involving threats against witnesses. It seemed almost personal for you. Do you feel a heightened level of responsibility when it comes to the safety of some of
Third
these
person.
witnesses in this case?
Oh, I feel a heightened sense of security when it comes to my witnesses in all cases. I would not say it's personal, but it is at the front of my mind in terms of business. This is not the only case by any stretch of the imagination where we very much worry about threats. That kind of goes back to our first part of our conversation. We are living in a time in America where there is a lack of respect for authority, and there's a lack of respect for the process.
Oh my God. I can't listen to this. I'm sorry, y'all. I keep interrupting. This is wild. Lack of respect for authority. Hey, Fani Willis, you've been subpoenaed. You're supposed to appear at this hearing. Nah. Hey, Fani Willis, you're the DA. Probably shouldn't have a relationship with the special prosecutor, who, by the way, isn't qualified to have this position. Nah. Hey, Fani Willis, when you're on the stand during your own hearing about your misconduct during this entire Trump trial, maybe you should conduct yourself accordingly. No reason for you to be hostile with the attorneys. Nah. Oh, yeah, by the way, Nathan Wade was married. What? No respect for authority. Sheesh.
That hit home the largest for me earlier in maybe last year now. Someone threatened our sheriff. And that seemed crazy to me because your sheriff in any county is your most important law enforcement officer, right? You're your chief number one law enforcement officer. But to me, the reason I bring that up is it just shows what a horrible place we are at when people think it is okay to threaten law enforcement officers who risk their life to protect you. And so, yes, I take it very, very seriously when people get doxxed, which this week in a trial, not the one you're referring to right now, I've had law enforcement officers doxxed. I personally, as you know, have been doxxed, which for your listeners and viewers who don't know what that means, it means where someone will share your personal information, meaning your home address or your business or your telephone number, so that people can intentionally harass you. And that's been...
Can you dox a public servant? What is she talking about? I mean, I guess technically if it's their home address, but Okay.
done in cases
We'll let her
that this
finish.
office is bringing, in cases the Attorney General is currently bringing, against different law enforcement officers here, against city council people in
That's
my
crazy.
city about another case. So yes, I think you can hear the passion in my voice when people threaten people that are just coming forward, being good citizens, doing their duties. It is a very important thing to me, and it's something we are not going to tolerate.
Speaking of
All right, I've had enough of this. And someone asked in the chat, does anyone have anything nice to say about Fani? Well, she has done some good things in the community, and I won't go through and name them. But she has done some good things as a DA. But I think her issues are so glaringly obvious, and her complete disregard, not only for following the process, as she said, but her responsibility in her position has just been so glaring that it really cast a shadow on everything good that she's done, or the things that she's done well. But anyway, I don't know. Y'all have to let me know. Also, if you're wondering about the people who did take pleas during this, during the Trump trial, we've got Scott Hall. Excuse me. He was a bail bondsman. Hall was the first to plead guilty. He admitted to 5 misdemeanor counts of conspiracy to commit intentional interference with the performance of election duties. His sentence includes 5-year probation, a $5,000 fine, and 200 hours of community service. And he agreed to testify in further proceedings. Then we've got Sidney Powell, former attorney for Trump. Powell pled guilty to 6 misdemeanor counts of conspiracy to commit international interference with the performance of election duties. She received 6 years probation, a $6,000 fine, and agreed to testify. We've got Kenneth. I'm going to mess up his last name, but it's CHESEBRO. Another attorney associated with Trump's efforts. He pled guilty to 1 felony count of conspiracy to commit filing false documents. Oh my goodness. His plea deal includes 5 years probation, a $5,000 fine, community service, along with agreeing to testify. And then last but not least, we've got Jenna Ellis, a former legal advisor to Trump. Ellis pled guilty to 1 felony count of aiding and abetting false statements in writing. She was sentenced to 5 years probation, $5,000 fine, 100 hours of community service, and she must write an apology letter to the citizens of Georgia. Ellis also agreed to cooperate in the prosecutor in ongoing proceedings. Now, how is all of this going to change moving forward? Because those four folks that took these pleas might have been a waste, because it's looking like this entire case is going to be dropped. I mean, let's be real. It's going to go on, and it's going to be pushed on to someone else who can decide whether they want to take it or not. I cannot foresee or imagine anyone taking this case. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments. Wow. Crazy stuff, man. There's Fani Willis, a stand-up woman out here in politics. And we know, I mean, hey, politicians go in politics, but geez, man, you talking about respecting and following the process? Wow. Oh man. Does anybody have anything nice they would like to say about Fani Willis in the chat? I'm trying to wait and see. While y'all are coming up with something good to say. So I think I said something good. Let me read a couple of these super chats. Shout out to Michael Schmidt from Germany. What did he say? Fani and her love gang. She needs a RICO charge for this, man. That DA's office is a mess. From the YSL trial to what's going on in Fulton County and people being over indicted. It's crazy. Mr. Brown also drops a 5 bomb. And he's just showing love over there. Thank you, Mr. Brown. I appreciate you. Oh, man. Shout out to everybody who's tuning in from the UK. I appreciate y'all. And Amy, of course, is in here reminding y'all to like the video if you haven't yet. It really does help out the show, and it's free. So I appreciate it. And I'm going to keep reminding y'all to like the video too. Auburn fan says, these people pled guilty due to not having the hundreds of thousands of dollars to fight it. Yeah. They are also destroying Rudy Giuliani. Yes, he was mentioned in that indictment. Y'all also said something nice about Fani. Oh man, Shadow Fox says she's thicker than oatmeal, but not tasty. Oh my, Fani looks good for her age. That's a nice thing to say, right? Oh man, if you say so. I'm gonna leave that up to y'all. Fani is, I'm sorry, I have nothing good to say without chuckling. Oh man. Oh, without upchucking. Oh gosh. He is still the mayor of New York. Who are y'all talking about? Eric Adams? They won't prosecute that case. I'm with Fran Taylor on this. Nobody's gonna take that case. Especially after seeing, I guess we have some new news about what happened with 45 or 47 up in here, 45, 47. It looks like Trump got sentenced without penalty in New York hush money case. Do y'all want to check this out real quick? We'll pivot real quick. What are they saying? And this just happened. So this is breaking news. We'll get into it here real quick. For her age, yeah, she's 50 something. Roll One Up says she's the smartest gang leader in a long time. Oh man. Y'all want to hear? I want to see if I can find the actual video. And I'm still waiting on. We're going to be hearing at some point the oral arguments for what's going on with TikTok. But let me see if I could find what's going on with our guy 45, 47 up in here. Here we go. CNN has got us covered. Y'all ready for this? Check it out, and I'll change the headline. We'll read that article in a second.
Breaking news out of a New York City courtroom right now. President-elect Donald Trump is being sentenced in his hush money conviction just 10 days before he is set to return to the White House. The unprecedented ruling follows a 5-4 decision by the Supreme Court to deny Trump's last-minute appeal last night. CNN's Laura Coates is outside the New York court. Laura, walk us through where things stand right now. A lot of things happening at this very moment.
Well, we may not have been here, but for the Supreme Court last night deciding in a 5-4 decision, a very tight ruling where Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Amy Coney Barrett joined with the so-called liberal justices to say that this could go forward. We knew from the judge it was unlikely that this is going to be a jail imposition or a probation period or a fine. The judge has now had an opportunity to review a probation report written in connection with interviews from the president-elect and the probation officer, who said during the report that it seemed that Trump believed he was, quote, above the law. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, the president-elect, soon to be president in just 10 days, is arguing that the indictment itself should never have been brought. The Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, was wrong to bring this, and that, in fact, the American people, according to Todd Blanche, who will be number 2 at the DOJ following his inauguration, has believed that the American people did not want a case like this to be brought under a category of lawfare. The judge, Judge Merchan, has said, which is the understatement of a lifetime, this has been a truly extraordinary case. Indeed, it has been. We have never seen a time when an American president, former, of course, or president-elect, has been convicted of felony counts, this to the tune of 34. Now, it is a Class E felony in the state of New York, which normally does not necessarily bring a jail time. It's not universally accepted as that, but it doesn't always have jail time. But the idea of no probation, no fine is directly connected from the decision of the judge, it seemed, and we're waiting to hear that final point. This is a president-elect who has argued that he would be unable to fully govern if he were to have certain contingencies or conditions above him. He does note, the judge said, it is the office of the presidency that is extraordinary, not the occupant of the office. But again, he is a president-elect. Trump wanted this to be delayed until after he became the president again. The judge thought it was incumbent on the decision to honor the jury's verdict and, of course, the rule of law to allow this particular defendant and all defendants to have the finality of a sentence. Jim, although we are using the phrase convicted felon, there is a slight nuance to this. it is not a done deal until after the sentence. And then that's the catalyst to be able to have your full appellate rights and go after all the different legal issues here. Mershon says that once the courtroom doors closed, the trial was no different from any other in the courthouse. I was in that courthouse. I got to tell you, what was so extraordinary, aside from the fact that it was the former president of the United States there, is that he was being treated, and in a courtroom, unlike any other, not like any other defendant, when the rule of law and the criminal prosecution and the weight of your name after
what is she saying?
Jurisdiction versus is in front of you.
Yeah, and Laura, I guess
what does
this
that mean?
Is all said and done, and you were just saying, and we've all been saying, we expect there not to be a
45,
sentence
47.
of jail time or anything like that for the president-elect. But take
morning,
us through
y'all.
the next steps. He'll be able to appeal the conviction. That process continues on even while he's president?
Oh, yes, he wants it to continue on. He does not want this title of convicted felon. He does not believe that this case should have been resurrected according to the laws and on the books. But remember, ever since this case even started, he was convicted and a verdict entered back in May of last year. The Supreme Court has issued this interim opinion about immunity, that not only can you not prosecute a sitting president for official acts, but you can't use official acts to then form the basis of evidence in criminal matters. Trump believes that his statements and statements that were made to people who were a part of the administration and beyond, whether it be Hope Hicks or others, should not have been allowed to be entered into the evidence and therefore could have unduly tainted the jury's view of the case. Mershon is saying, however, the considerable, indeed extraordinary legal protections afforded the office of the chief executive is a factor that overrides all else in his sentencing. But remember, he's a president-elect, so a lot of that is not applied to him yet, and the judge wanted this done beforehand. This will be quite a slap on the wrist. I'm curious if the judge will in fact address the contempt or even the statements Trump has made about the judge and his family as well.
Yeah, and I doubt it. I mean, this really doesn't mean anything at this point. He's going to be the president. He's got to do what? What are they saying in this article? And we'll finish listening to CNN here in a minute. What are they saying he has to do? President-elect Donald Trump was sentenced without any penalties today in his New York criminal hush money case, 10 days before his inauguration for a second White House term. Manhattan judge Merchan sentenced Trump to unconditional discharge. Oh, what? They might need to get that checked out. Meaning no jail, no probation, and no fine. This has been a very terrible experience, said Trump, who attended the hearing remotely on Zoom. He said before receiving the sentence, "This has been a political witch hunt," he said, claiming the case was brought to damage my reputation so I would lose the election. If anything, I mean, I think it made people relate to him more. A jury in May found Trump guilty of 34 felony counts of falsifying business records related to a $130,000 hush money payment his then personal lawyer paid to a adult actress Stormy Daniels shortly before the 2016 presidential election. Daniels was paid for her silence about claims that she got it on with Trump a decade earlier, claims the president-elect has denied. Merchant said that an unconditional discharge, that word is wild to me, that an unconditional discharge was the only lawful sentence he could deliver without encroaching on the office of the presidency. The protection of that office is a factor that overrides all others, Merchant said. Donald Trump, the ordinary citizen, Donald Trump, the criminal defendant, would not be entitled to such considerable protections, he said. The judge's actions will formally make Trump the first criminal convict ever to occupy the Oval Office. Hey, shout out to Donald Trump. Yeah, it means nothing. It means nothing. That is quite the achievement. Doing big things out here. Prosecutor Joshua S. noted that at the start of the hearing that the charges against Trump each carry a sentence of up to 4 years in state prison. But the people recommended a sentence of unconditional release, said Joshua S. We must be respectful of the office of presidency and mindful to the fact that this defendant will be inaugurated as president in 10 days, he explained. How do y'all think this looks to the rest of the world? Insane. But the prosecutor also slammed Trump for his relentless attacks on the justice system throughout the case, saying the president-elect caused enduring damage to the public's perception of the criminal justice system. Man, they need to make a phone call to Fani Willis then. Trump, appearing on a monitor wearing a red striped tie and sitting in front of American flags, frowned and looked bored during Joshua S.'s remarks. Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche, responded that he disagreed with the prosecutor about the validity of the case and about Trump's conduct. It's a sad day for President Trump and his family and his friends, but it's also a sad day for this country, said Blanche, who Trump picked to be Deputy U.S. Attorney General in the next administration. Thursday's hearing comes a day after Trump and his wife, Melania Trump, attended the funeral of former president, rest in peace, Jimmy Carter, in Washington. The Trump sat with every other living former president. The U.S. Supreme Court on Thursday night lifted the final legal barrier to Trump's sentencing, refusing his request to block proceedings in this case. Of course, he probably wanted to wait until he got into office, but now, I mean, nothing. It really doesn't mean anything. The decision was a narrow 5-4, with Trump appointee Justice Amy Coney Barrett joining fellow conservative Chief Justice John Roberts and 3 liberal justices to issue the majority decision. The ruling noted that Trump's sentence would impose a relatively insubstantial burden on his presidential responsibilities, and that he still has the right to appeal on claims that Merchan improperly allowed certain evidence at trial. So I wonder what the restrictions are going to be. That's something we'll have to wait and find out, because it says they're relatively insubstantial. I mean, what does that mean? Trump's lawyers argue that he is immune from criminal prosecution, but courts have repeatedly rejected the claim as it relates to the hush money case because he was not yet president when the initial conduct in the case occurred. All right, so we're going to have to wait and see some updates on this. What are the restrictions going to be? How is this going to affect him moving forward as our 47th president? Y'all's 47th president too. Got to deal with it. Let me know what y'all think in the comments in the chat about this. This is going to be an interesting one for sure. How are y'all feeling about this, man? This is y'all's president. Y'all's 47th president. Let me see. Sounds to me that he will still be called a felon. It doesn't matter. I mean, this is his final term, so whatever they say about him from here on out, I don't think it changes anything. Trump 2025, love it, says Michi. How about Nixon and Clinton? They both committed and lied with no consequences. Yeah, I mean, apparently paying somebody hush money is wrong, but getting top in the Oval Office is okay. This y'all's for it. No, it's my 47th president too, man. Shout out to Donald J. Trump. Biden needs to be going through courts for all he has done. Yeah, let's not talk about that. Hope Biden doesn't forget his boxes of classified documents when he moves out. Yo, y'all leave that man alone. He's got 10 days left. Let him live. Trump can't vote now and can't own a gun, says Les. I don't know if that's the case. He won't be allowed to vote. Because as CNN mentioned, there are different types of felonies in New York. So we would have to see what the conditions are. Maybe they'll give us more insight. Let's keep looking at this.
All right, Laura Coates, thank you very much. With me now, CNN anchor and chief White House correspondent Caitlin Collins and CNN senior legal analyst and former federal prosecutor Ellie Honig.
Maybe they'll give us
Ellie,
an
let
idea.
me go to you first. What's your reaction to what we've been hearing so far?
Well, it's pretty orderly, all things said. Donald Trump seems to have gone on a little bit of a tirade, but nothing unpredictable, nothing different from what he said before. One thing that I think is interesting is there's been no talk whatsoever, except from Donald Trump, about the actual conduct that Donald Trump was tried and found guilty for. For a
We don't
while,
care
the DA
about
was
that.
trying to say this conduct of hiding the hush money payments.
Is that
okay? There we go.
say
So
right
that's the
there.
official moment of the sentence. Donald Trump has now been sentenced to an unconditional discharge.
What does that mean?
That means that it is now official that Donald Trump has been convicted of a felony. There's two parts of that equation: the conviction, and now we have part two, the sentence. So that is a moment. We now have Donald Trump. I guess you can technically, if you would like, to call him a convicted felon.
Hey, this
that
was
is
the
a
best I
label
could
that
find,
now
all right?
technically applies.
Give me a break.
But of course, he does have his appeal rights. But again, the focus has been, okay, lawyers are
Dang,
packing
y'all
up.
really are not rocking with CNN. Hey, I don't blame you. CNN's been on point lately, though. They settled down ever since Trump got voted in, so we got to give them a little bit of credit, okay?
So,
Yeah, Judge Merchan is off the bench.
Yeah.
It happened that quickly.
in a lot of ways,
I don't
not
like him
that
either.
different from any other sentencing. It took 38 minutes. That's about average for a sentencing in state court. But the focus has largely been on Trump's out-of-court conduct.
Yeah, Caitlin, what do you think? You've been watching all this.
Well, the most interesting statement from Judge Merchan just a few moments ago before he left the bench was acknowledging Trump's election win. He was saying, you know, ordinary citizens don't get these kind of legal protections. It's the office of the presidency
we
that
read
is
that.
bestowing these to the office holder. And he said, it is the citizenry of this nation that recently decided that you should once again receive the benefits of those protections, essentially acknowledging that, yes, because Donald Trump is going to be inaugurated in a few days, that is changing the sentencing here. I mean, if this had happened in
sense.
July before he had actually won, you could see, you know, that was way before he was afforded those protections and how different that was.
And Caitlin, you were reporting that Donald Trump did not have to appear in court this morning. He did this over video.
Yeah, I think one thing that I noticed from attending this trial when it was going on is that the way that the Trump team has framed Justice Merchan and how he acts here is so different than what I personally witnessed and reported on from court, which is that the judge actually goes out of his way and bends over backwards a lot of the time to accommodate Donald Trump. He was never bothered when Trump was sitting there.
Bend over backwards is probably not the best phrase to use in this case.
You know, hitting his attorneys, passing them notes, talking sometimes out loud during the hearing. And instead, he allowed him to appear virtually from Mar-a-Lago with his attorney there, Todd Blanche. Another attorney, I believe, was in court.
Is that a photo? We're looking at it right now.
Yeah, and so see the two of them appearing side by side. He was not there actually in the courtroom, which, as Ellie would note, I would assume is pretty unusual for
Almost
you to not
unheard
be
of.
present.
Almost
for
unheard of.
something.
Ellie, what do you make of these images that we're looking at right here?
Well, they got fully dressed
This
up.
is
I mean,
historic.
right, and look, this is a criminal defendant at his sentencing sitting in front of the American flag. I mean, I promise you that's never happened before in American history. But as
Okay,
Caitlin said,
well, here comes the CNNing. Now they're CNNing. Oh, look, he's sitting in front of the American flag. Wow. Oh, how could he? All right, let me see if I can find. CNN's going to be obnoxious about it. Let me see if we can get maybe somebody a little less biased. We've got CBS. We've got the AP, Associated Press. Yeesh. We've got it looks like, who is this? CNBC? Huh, that's even worse, man. Oh, man. Mr. Brown says, Classy Beach, you must get plenty of sleep at night because you are always upbeat and great commentary. No, I must be a great actor, Mr. Brown. That's all that means. I wish that were true. Let me see. They break down his sentencing. I want to find this since this is breaking news. It seems like CNN they're the only ones on top of it right now. Probably not the greatest term to use in this case, too. We got Fox News 11. I want to find out what this means. Let's keep going with CNN.
said, you know, the judge made it clear that you are only getting this sentence. The DA said the same thing because of your status as president. And look, in our legal and constitutional system, the president just is different. One thing we will never know, I wish we could somehow figure this out, what would the sentence have been if Trump had not won the election, right? I mean, there certainly would have been some sort of probation. Judge Merchan, would he have sentenced to prison? It's one of those hypotheticals we'll never know.
Because Laura Coates was saying just a few moments ago that this was essentially a slap on the wrist. This is actually less than that.
I was going to say, at least you feel a slap
Right,
on the
yeah.
wrist. I'm not sure that this is even that. But again, it does make the conviction official.
Caitlin, I mean, if we could show that image one more time of Trump with his attorney there in that monitor, that is something else. And at one point, I think we just saw an image of him sort of pointing his finger. There it is.
Oh, no, he's pointing his finger. Oh,
I guess we don't know what is going on there, but we can guess.
Well, and also, Jim, just to think of it in the full circle moment of, we were covering the White House when this story was kind of first unraveling and being reported publicly, and we learned about the hush money payments and learned about the cover-up and watched Rudy Giuliani go on TV and talk about this. That was so interesting, and to see how that has developed from this moment to now, Trump appearing virtually for this sentencing, which, his attorneys and people in his orbit, his top advisors, had argued this is pretty much a best case scenario from where we were when this guilty verdict came down last May. They, a lot of options, as Ellie noted, had he lost, could have happened here. And so they were arguing essentially take this and go with it. But Trump himself doesn't want to be sworn in as a convicted felon. He now will be as a result of this. But I think to Judge Merchan's point, I mean, the election happened months after Trump was convicted. The American people had enough time to take this guilty verdict in, to digest it, and still, it didn't bother them enough to not reelect him.
Because we know y'all on some BS. You included, CNN. It has nothing to do with how this man's going to run the country.
People have said that Donald Trump has just completed the greatest political comeback ever in our history. Maybe I'm not a political expert, but legally, think back a year and a half ago. I don't believe there's ever been another human being in the history of this country who's been under 4 separate simultaneous indictments in 4 separate jurisdictions. He was looking at 4 trials.
And the question I would ask is why? We know, y'all mentioned a couple names in the comments. Bill Clinton. I won't mention anybody else's name. We know several people who have not gotten near the amount of scrutiny and light shown on what they're trying to do. We know Fani Willis and the mayor of Atlanta were at the White House talking to Kamala Harris about this indictment in Georgia, right here in Georgia. Why is that the case? Why do they, whoever, not want this man to be in office? It makes you wonder. Gotta ask.
Any one of them could have resulted in his imprisonment. Now here we are. This is it. An unconditional discharge on one of the cases. Completely impossible to have predicted this a year and a half ago.
Yeah, he pulled off this incredible political comeback, but at the same time, he is going to be making history. He is going to be entering the White House as a convicted felon until he's able to deal with this in the courts as that legal process continues. Is that essentially it?
That is correct. He is a convicted felon now. He will be 10 days from now when he takes the oath of office. But again, important to keep in mind, like all defendants, he has his appeal rights. That'll take many, many months, so it could happen that...
And he could go from the White House to the courthouse or appear virtually from the White House as this appellate process continues on?
Yeah, so defendants don't usually physically appear for their appeals. It's done on paper with briefs, and then when there's oral arguments, his lawyers... Caitlin raises a good question. Who's even going to do this? Because his whole team is coming with him to the administration. He'll find someone. But the lawyers do the oral argument. Defendants usually do not attend those arguments, but, 6-8 months from now...
Yeah. And again, y'all ask yourself a question. Why is that the case? CNN so accurately pointed out, we have all these indictments coming out against this man. It makes you wonder why. Ask yourself that. Let me know what you think in the comments and in the chat. Michi is up in here with the 10 bomb. Shout out to Michi. She says, I absolutely hate CNN, MSNBC, etc. You can't get the entire truth out of most mainstream media. That's true. Do your own research. Knowledge is power. 1000% Michi. I'm just trying to find out how the sentencing is going to affect him moving forward. But very well said. And I agree. A lot of these mainstream media outlets are just difficult to listen to. And we still have no updates yet on this Supreme Court hearing about TikTok. I really wanted to check that out and see what was going on there, but we'll keep waiting and seeing what's happening there. We'll probably go ahead, excuse me, and get into our next topic in a second. Yeah, imagine if the Clintons were prosecuted for every mistake they made on paperwork, or better yet, the stuff everyone knows they did in Benghazi. Excuse me. Aren't we still missing some emails from Hillary Clinton? Anyway, I just learned you have to fact check the media in a way they don't tell you the whole story. That's for sure. Trump will be using YouTubers for his media at the White House. He has his own platform. That would be amazing. It would be interesting to see all these liberal YouTubers that flip. I think he's got a couple of people with some huge platforms going forward. I mean, Elon Musk and X. Yeah, we really are the new media. I mean, we've got 1,100 of y'all in here watching this right now. So it's crazy. So what was the paperwork supposed to say? This was for hush money? Mm-hmm. Yep. Attorney's fees, hush money. What's the difference? It's all for show. And you heard, how many times did they say it? 6, 7, 8, 50, 11 times during this broadcast. Oh, wow. We have a convicted felon that's going to be signed, that's going to be inaugurated shortly. Well, he'll be the first convicted felon. Crazy. Incoming president's going to be a convicted felon. Convicted felon. So, I mean, it's wild. Hillary Clinton is not the president or the president-elect, says Kia Elder. Oh, so we're still defending her. All right, it's fine. Oh, man. What about Bill Clinton then? What about her husband? It's fine. I think you're intentionally missing the point, Kia Elder, but it's all good. Who asked Trump to run 2016? Hillary's emails don't even compare to the crimes of Trump. Oh, Lily Joe, you got to do some research about your girl Hillary. Wow, I'm shocked that y'all are trying to defend, of all people, Hillary Clinton. What? Come on. We don't want to do this. I wonder who decided to go after Hunter Biden. I bet the investigation was started by both right and left leaning agents, but the decision to actually make a case for the firearm charges had to be the something. Kia Elder said, I'll have to catch the replay. I don't have all the information. No, it's okay. You're good. Trump owns Truth Social. That is correct. Michi says Hillary Clinton is one of the biggest shareholders for Walmart. I worked for them for years and she had more influence than people willingly admit. Hillary is awful. Hillary's emails are missing, 300 something plus missing. Oops, they got deleted. Hillary Clinton is a bad woman. Yeah, we know. I'm never going to. Never mind. We won't get into that because people don't like talking about politics. So let's get in here and see what's going on with Tory Lanez. We're going to get back to the music side of things, but still talking about some legal stuff. Oh, man. And thank you again. Shout out to Les Cleaver. I think I mentioned it. Les Cleaver dropped and gifted another 10 memberships. So if you got a membership from Les, please make sure you say thank you. We got to get into the story about Tory Lanez. Oh, my gosh. This dude cannot catch a break. Let me see. I saw one more comment I wanted to read, and then we'll keep it moving. Yeah, free Tory for real. Smart move. Politics divided people. Yeah. Democrats ran out of space. 2 wings of the same bird. Yeah, none of these folks are. Evergreen was her Secret Service code name. Oh man, are we gonna do that on this show? We'll have 10 people watching if we go down that route. All right, so when it comes to Tory Lanez and Meg Thee Stallion, Meg just cannot leave Tory alone. This man is already in jail, sentenced to 10 years for, I can't say allegedly because he's been convicted, but y'all know the story. Tory Lanez was in a car with Meg and her friend. Gun goes off. Tory Lanez gets convicted and he's in jail for 10 years. But now Meg Thee Stallion just can't let things go. She feels like, oh, I'm still being harassed by Tory Lanez. I just can't get Tory Lanez off of my mind. And she's trying to bring not more charges, but she's trying to put Tory Lanez in an even crazier position moving forward. Let me just get into it. Shout out to Megan Cuniff for this article, amazing article. And I believe she's going live talking about this later on today. If she does, I'll make sure to leave a link to her live stream. What does she say in this article? Judge bars Tory Lanez from contacting Meg Thee Stallion for 5 years. Meg Thee Stallion testified via a video in Los Angeles County Superior Court that she is a nervous wreck all the time and fears what will happen when Tory Lanez is released from prison. Oh, poor Megan. Poor Megan. No, he is not out yet. A judge on Thursday barred imprisoned rapper Tory Lanez from contacting Megan Thee Stallion directly or indirectly for the next 5 years as a part of a civil restraining order Megan testified would protect her from ongoing harassment. Have you ever seen a restraining order against someone who was in prison? This lady is obsessed with this man. It's crazy. I haven't been at peace since I'm gonna get through this, y'all. I haven't been at peace since I've been shot. And I'm just tired of being harassed, the 29-year-old rapper told a Los Angeles County judge via video from her home in Florida. Tory Lanez's legal name is Daystar Peterson, is serving a 10-year prison sentence after a jury convicted him of 3 felonies for shooting Meg and injuring her feet at a party at a reality star Kylie Jenner's Hollywood Hills home in July of 2020. Megan's lawyer said Thursday that a protective order in place before trial expired and a 10-year criminal protective order should have been issued when Tory Lanez was sentenced, but it wasn't. Megan's legal name, Megan Pete, can't currently attain a criminal protective order because she described her relationship with Tory Lanez as friends with benefits instead of a dating relationship, her lawyer said. The civil restraining order request includes a declaration from domestic violence prevention organizations that were concerned with this gap in the law where people like Ms. Pete are without protection in the criminal courts, said Mari Henderson, a partner at Quinn Emanuel. Doesn't this sound familiar? In Los Angeles, Quinn Emanuel, they're representing Jay-Z. Alex Spiro. It is illogical that she would have less protection now that Mr. Peterson has been found guilty and convicted, Henderson said in court. Tory Lanez, who did not attend the hearing in person or remotely, is eligible for parole in September of 2029. And Meg testified she fears he could try to contact her after he's released. Yeah, I feel like maybe he'll shoot me again. And maybe this time I won't make it. Oh. I said I'm going to try and make it through this, y'all. This is said Megan, choking back tears. Yeah, that wasn't the only thing she was choking back. She said she hasn't attended therapy lately because I have been feeling kind of like hopeless about this whole thing. No matter how much somebody tells me I need to get past it or it's going to be okay, it just seems like I have to relive it every day. The person who shot me won't let me forget it. I barely leave my house. I leave my house for work where I have to, when I have to, says Megan. She said she never had anxiety before she was shot, but now I'm just a nervous wreck all the time. Henderson asked why she wants the restraining order, and Megan answered, because even from behind bars, he won't leave me alone. She thought Tory Lanez would have a moment to repent in jail and realize what he did wrong. But even from behind bars, he is still showing that he's angry, an angry person. And I'm scared that even when he gets out of jail, he's going to still be upset with me, Megan testified. He keeps showing me that he can get to me like he won't give me a day of peace. And I feel like for a fact, when he gets out of jail, it's going to be worse. She doesn't want him to make music on it. I guarantee you. And that's exactly what Tory Lanez is going to do. Los Angeles County Superior Court Judge Richard Bloom said he believes there's ample evidence of harassing conduct dating back to at least July of 2020. The facts in this matter show both unlawful violence, credible threats of violence, and a knowing and unlawful course of conduct that seriously harasses a petitioner and serves no legitimate purpose, Bloom said. The order is effective until midnight on January 9th of 2030. Oh, God, even when he gets out. It prohibits Lanez from being within 100 yards of Megan. Doubt that'll be an issue. And says he can't contact her either directly or indirectly in any way, and specifically bans all types of communications and other electronic means. I wonder if that counts for the music side of things, because if he makes a song and he's like talking about Megan or saying something about what happened, how's that going to affect him when he gets out of prison? In their petition, Megan's lawyers cited a music video Tory Lanez made to his song Cap, in which he's a butcher chopping horse leg. Then stands outside the courthouse, grabs a microphone from the reporter and raps, "Bitch is trying to end me, so I cannot be polite." Lanez's lawyer, Michael Hayden, told reporters after the court that Tory Lanez shouldn't be doing stuff like, "Yeah, that was a little harsh." Oh, come on, lawyer, don't say that. I guess you could call it speech because he was expressing himself through art. It's something that he did construct, and I don't think he'll do something like that again, said Hayden, a lawyer with a legal services group United the People, of which Tory Lanez is a board member. I can't speak for him, Hayden continued. I think that nothing like that is going to come about. I think he wants to mind his business. I agree. She wants to mind her business. Thursday's hearing was the first public airing of the case that began when Megan's lawyers filed the restraining order on December 17th and said Tory Lanez continues to harass Megan from prison, including through social media commentators such as Millargo Cooper. Megan is suing Cooper in a federal court in Florida for defamation, promotion of an altered, I don't know what that means, sexual depiction, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and cyber talking. So basically what she's saying is this Millargo Cooper, I don't know who that is some type of mouthpiece for Tory Lanez, and he's using her to communicate to Megan. Man, it is what it is. Henderson said Thursday that Cooper has a business relationship with Tory Lanez's father, Sonstar Peterson, and said a subpoena revealed several payments from him to her. Lanez also discussed Cooper in phone calls from prison obtained by Meg's lawyers, and Tory Lanez approved the statement about the defamation lawsuit and directed his lawyers to represent her. Megan's lawyers filed transcripts of the calls from October 30th and November 7th between Tory Lanez and Unite the People CEO Caesar McDowell. Henderson also said in court that Tory Lanez had a contraband cell phone while he was in prison, a secret cell phone that bans us from being able to hear any recordings or monitor activity, which begs the question of what it is that he's directing through the secret cell phone, Henderson told Judge Bloom. Hayden said the request was not about violence, even though there may have been 4.5 years ago. It's about prior restraint of Tory Lanez's right to freedom of speech. There's no evidence or threat of current or future harm to the petitioner, Hayden said. He has not contacted her and does not want to contact her. He does not even want to harm her. Hayden also said that Tory Lanez did not want to contact these third-party bloggers. He said the bloggers such as Cooper have an independent mind of their own. And Tory Lanez had a really close relationship with Adin Ross too. If y'all don't know who Adin Ross is, he's one of the biggest streamers in the game right now. Signed a multi-million dollar deal with Kick, and Tory Lanez being on Adin Ross's, you wouldn't call it podcast, but Adin Ross's live stream is one of the things that really helped launch Adin Ross's career, and one of the most viral videos I think Adin Ross has probably had to this point. So he does have a relationship with these third-party bloggers, and he's been back on Adin Ross's live streams before. Adin Ross is always screaming free Tory. He's been very vocal about how he feels about Tory Lanez. So in this instance, this seems like it would be tough to prove in court, in my opinion. If they want to be pro-Tory, they're pro-Tory. If they want to be pro-Meg, they're pro-Meg. That's not any cohesive control. Hayden said there isn't violence today and there won't be tomorrow. He added, as far as I know, and Judge Bloom said that would sort of underscore the concern here. Hayden referred to Tory Lanez before the trial as all the junk that happened, which drew a sharp response from Henderson. This is not junk. That is Mrs. Pete's life. And what happened to her from the time of the shooting to the time of today has been incredibly traumatizing, Henderson said. She endured more than just smear campaigns as people question whether she's even a victim at all. I mean, I still do. Again, it's been decided Tory Lanez has been found guilty, so we say innocent till proven guilty. He's guilty in the eyes of the court. Looking at the facts of what happened, seems like they missed this one. Hey, what can we say, right? Henderson gave Megan the last word, and Megan told the judge, Hayden had referred to her trauma as junk. That's what they've been doing online. They made people question, was I shot at all? But you weren't, Megan. You weren't shot. They have tried to create a chaotic environment for me and have everybody attacking me. She says she knows that being a public figure comes with hearing a lot of people from all over the world talk about you. I'm not trying to take anyone's freedom of speech away, she said. It's the man that is orchestrating it. He's the person that shot me, and he's orchestrating people. Well, a medical exam, we're not going to go into. Hayden cross-examined Megan only briefly, and he focused on the fact that she lives in Florida because he argued to Bloom that Los Angeles County isn't the proper venue for a restraining order. Henderson said they're not contesting that Mrs. Pete is a Florida resident. The basis for the venue, as I stated, where the physical injury occurred, Henderson said, Miss Pete is currently a Florida resident, and that's not something we have contested. Judge Bloom said one issue is the lack of evidence about the recent conduct, but her older conduct shortly after Tory Lanez shot Megan is enough. He cited a ripple effect from violence, and then they go through back and forth. Oh, and we're almost there, so I guess I could read the rest of this. Ripple effect from the violence. In some cases, it may be small ripples that go away with time. In other cases, it could be ripples that grow with time, the judge said. Ms. Pete's testimony here seems to make clear that the ripple effect here has been significant. Whether or not it's then amplified or caused by the other events that are described. The judge recessed the court and went to his chambers before issuing a final ruling. He said many facts exist, including the uncontroversial fact that Tory Lanez engaged in a course of conduct that culminated in distributing 5 rounds at a petitioner that resulted in injuries to her, surgery, and from her testimony, lasting mental anguish. Thank you, Judge, said Megan. Hayden said after court that this was going to happen today one way or another. He said the bigger picture is the lawsuit against Cooper in Florida because that's a speech issue. Megan's lawyers currently have until January 13th to respond to a motion to strike the complaint for failure to state a claim. Wow. And okay, there we go. So Megan said she'll discuss the hearing live on YouTube Friday at 9 p.m. Pacific time. All right, so y'all go show some love to Megan. I'm definitely going to check that one out. I wonder if she's live right now. Let me see if this will play here. She's going to be live in 4 minutes. So I will link to her live stream in this video once the video is clipped for later on. And then y'all can also go subscribe and check out Megan talking about it. She's been covering this from the very beginning on and through now, and she has some great insight into what's going on there. Y'all let me know what you think about this. Is Megan being petty? Does she have some real fear? I mean, free Tory, all right? Jeez. What are y'all saying up in here? Shout out to the gang. I was reading, so I missed some of these. I missed some of y'all's comments. And again, thank you to Michi for the 10 bomb. And Les Cleaver, the sponsor of today's show, for gifting the 20 memberships. Oh my gosh. Phenomenal RN says she was shot. When you have to take a bullet fragments out of your foot, that's being shot. That's coming from a trauma nurse. Okay, well, I won't argue with you then, but I'm not going to argue. Zahir said that man shot somebody in the foot and got 10 years. 10 years. A person can be convicted of involuntary manslaughter and get that. This whole case was a mess. This whole case was a mess. Y'all are saying something about WAC 100. WAC 100 said they had proof Tory didn't do it. And y'all are saying no, no, no. Every inmate is allowed phone privileges unless they do something to where it warrants them losing them. And even then, it's not their whole incarceration. Which is good. He was convicted. You don't get to taunt your victim after shooting her. It's ridiculous. Tory seems like a big narcissist. I mean, Megan was feeling him though. So I don't know. Maybe that's her type. I don't know. I'll have to talk to her about that. Yes, it's violation. They taking care of Tory in jail. Trust me. I don't think Tory Lanez is like a really great person. However, that doesn't make Megan a good one. No, I agree. People stay giving black women a hard time. Who said anything about a black woman? Phenomenal RN. I was just up here blasting Hillary Clinton. Anybody can get this smoke. Black, white, purple, brown. This whole case was a mess. And Megan lied. Can you admit that, Phenomenal RN? Or are you just gonna say, oh, well, she misremembered like this chick in in this Diddy lawsuit, right? Maybe she misremembered. Gayle King looked her in the eyes. Hey, have you and Tory, y'all ever been together? He's like, no, never happened. She is a liar. Caught in 4K, Phenomenal RN. It's fine. Her sleeping with him doesn't have anything to do with her shooting her. She lied because y'all like to use that as an excuse. Oh, okay. Never mind. Megan's the victim. Phenomenal RN is right. She's right. Hey, at the end of the day, Tory's guilty. He's in prison. So Megan won. Tory Lanez is guilty. And we can have our own opinions about that. People love to hate on the black woman. Oh my gosh. It had nothing to do with her being a black woman. Let's move on to the next topic. Let's see what's going on with this TikTok up in here. Yeah, well, I still don't have to believe. I don't believe that he did it, but that's fine. I don't believe Tory Lanez shot her. There's just too much to that story that didn't make sense. I think Rock Nation is why he's in prison. I don't think she would have went this far without them representing her. Well, as a self-proclaimed psychiatrist, I like to diagnose Meg, the one who calls herself a stallion, which is a male horse with selective amnesia. Oh man. They had a big interview and Rock Nation was being screamed at. Free TikTok. Y'all are screaming free TikTok up in here. So he called her for no reason, I guess. That makes sense. Yeah. Phenomenal RN. If you want to go to the facts surrounding this case, we can maybe one day, but not today because something's not adding up. Something's not adding up. And at the end of the day, the message is this, y'all. Be careful what you do, who you're around, who you surround yourself with, and don't drink and have a firearm with you. And don't drink around somebody who's drinking and has a firearm with them. It's just, Not smart. Why does everything have to turn into a race? Ooh, boy, you don't want my answer on that. There's only a certain group that does that, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Yes, I'm in my 30s and just literally learned how to use TikTok. I like it. I don't want them to take it away. I just figured it out. Oh, D-Lo, I'm sorry. Oh, man. I'm so sorry. I think you're going to be fine, though. We're going to talk about it here in a second. Let me see. This video is going to restart. So, hold on a second, Fox. Dang, y'all chill out. Les said, I don't do TikTok. You made my side hurt, Les. He said, I don't do TikTok. Oh, my God. Woo. All right. So, on today's show, we're going a little bit off the rails today, and we're going to talk about what's going on with this TikTok man. So, this is breaking news. Donald Trump, 47, is out here trying to hold back on this TikTok ban. And it's looking like TikTok is going to be out of here on the 19th unless things go the way that Donald Trump wants it to go. Now, we've heard news about Kevin O'Leary and a couple other people are trying to buy TikTok. They're going to be the first ones up to buy it. And there's been this crazy back and forth. But let's listen to this video from Fox News and see what's going on.
A Fox 5 News alert. President-elect Trump asking the Supreme Court to pause banning TikTok before a law takes effect next month. It comes as TikTok makes a final plea of its own. Our chief legal correspondent, Katie Barlow, in the newsroom tonight with the latest. Katie.
Hey, good evening, Kenneth. Today, both TikTok and the Biden administration made their best case to the justices in dueling briefs that were ordered and expedited by the court ahead of oral argument in the case 2 weeks from today. TikTok says the ban violates the First Amendment's guarantee to freedom of expression. The Biden administration says TikTok and its Chinese parent company pose a serious threat to national security. President-elect Trump took the rare move of filing his own brief, telling the court to leave it to him to strike a deal that will save the app.
Now, it's interesting to see because if y'all haven't been on TikTok or know about TikTok, a lot of business here in the US is done through TikTok. A lot of influencers use TikTok to run their business and generate traffic and move traffic to whether that be their YouTube channel or their music, or whatever they're doing. And TikTok, even recently, they built in a TikTok shop or a TikTok store to where you can post videos and you can sell stuff in your store. So there's a lot of people who have jobs and generate money using TikTok, not just on the TikTok platform itself. It's also a great place for lead generation, right? And their algorithm is one of the best that I've seen. So I think that's one of the reasons that we could see this push from Donald Trump to kind of like, hey, let's just wait because it's going to impact a lot of people when it comes to TikTok not being available anymore. I know some of y'all are upset about it already.
Telling the court to leave it to him to strike a deal that will save the app. Lawyers for TikTok compared the app to a modern-day newspaper, touting its 170 million monthly users in the United States, and citing articles about the millions of younger Americans who get their news from TikTok. The law, passed by Congress last April, requires TikTok's Chinese parent company ByteDance to either sell off the app or be banned in the U.S. Officials are concerned that the Chinese government, a foreign adversary, could gain access to user data and manipulate the content that they see. But TikTok's lawyers say the American platform is run by an American company, TikTok Inc., and no arm of the Chinese government has an ownership stake, directly or indirectly, in TikTok Inc. or ByteDance Limited. Virginia.
Yeah, and the U.S. said, well, we don't care. You're getting banned. So they're going to have to sell. And as I mentioned before, Kevin O'Leary, y'all may know him from Shark Tank. He is actually one of the first people that we've seen outspoken about purchasing TikTok, and he may make a bid for it. We'll have to see.
Stake directly or indirectly in TikTok Inc. or ByteDance Limited. Virginia's Attorney General Jason Miyares filed a brief supporting the Biden administration and telling the court to uphold the ban.
A lot of responses here, Katie, but what about the Biden administration's argument?
Today, the DOJ said there's no meaningful separation between the Chinese government and a so-called private company because of the authoritarian structures of the Chinese regime, and that the government has a compelling interest in preventing China from harvesting Americans' data. And that includes age, phone number, precise location, internet address, device used, phone contacts, and more.
Tik Tok. All right, Katie, thank you. We appreciate it.
Shout out to Katie. And then we've got one more video we're going to look at. And this one is from CBS News, which is basically going to rewind a little bit and talk about why Trump would be looking to hold off on this ban in the first place.
Come January 19th, the social media app TikTok could be banned in the U.S. unless its Chinese parent company sells it. President-elect Donald Trump wants the Supreme Court to step in to delay that. In a briefing filed last week, Trump requested the High Court suspend the ban until after he takes office while he works on a, quote, political resolution. The ban would take place one day prior to Trump taking office. The U.S. government says TikTok's ties to China pose national security risks, but opponents say a ban violates the First Amendment. TikTok and his parent company ByteDance will appeal the ban before the Supreme Court on January 10th. Alan Rosenstein joins us now for more. He's an associate professor of law at the University of Minnesota Law School. Alan, I'm so grateful that you're here to talk about this. From a legal perspective, what grounds does an incoming president have to make such a request to the Supreme Court? Like, delay this until I can figure out political remedies. And what are the different options that the justices could take?
Sure. So the answer to your first question is pretty simple. There are no legal grounds. Being the president-elect does not give you special powers, does not give you special authorities. You are not the president until the day you are the president. And although it is bad timing for TikTok and for Trump that the law goes into effect the day before he becomes president, that's just too bad. There's really no basis in law for Trump making this request. And it's actually quite notable that the argument he makes cites very few cases and really cites very little law. I think he, or at least his lawyer, the incoming Solicitor General, understands that, and they're just hoping that politics rather than law sways the justices.
So then would the Supreme Court just sort of ignore that brief, or would they actually respond to it and say, no, sorry, we're not going to do that?
I think the Supreme Court will just ignore the brief.
Okay.
Trump is not a party to this case. He is simply submitting this as a friend of the court, just something that interested parties do all the time, and the court almost never responds to those briefs. It takes them into account, and I'm sure that the justices and their clerks will read that brief carefully, but I'd be extremely surprised if they even mention the brief, let alone if they agree to Trump's really unorthodox and frankly legally unsupportable request.
So let's go ahead and talk about.
Yeah, and y'all are asking about how is TikTok a national security risk? They didn't explain how yet. They're basically saying because everything is essentially in a certain ways run through China, and they have access to certain data, that China would get access to that data, then have certain information that maybe the United States government wouldn't want them to have. And that's why it's a national security risk. It's basically a leak is what they're saying.
About those oral arguments that set to take place January 10th, what do you expect to see from ByteDance and from the government?
Well, I think we're going to see basically a rerun of the arguments that occurred at the D.C. Circuit, the intermediate court where this all started a few months ago. ByteDance, TikTok, the users are all going to argue quite reasonably that this law is a pretty substantial infringement on the First Amendment. And the government is going to argue quite reasonably that there's a very profound national security case, both based on data privacy and also the threat of Chinese manipulation of TikTok. And then the justice will simply have to decide which of those values wins out in this case. I suspect that they're going to rule very similarly to how the three judges on the D.C. Circuit did, which was to say that although the First Amendment issues were important, in this particular case, the facts were such the national security values won the day.
Would we know that result prior to this ban going into effect January 19th? Would we know the justice's decision?
We likely will. Now, traditionally, when the justices hear a case, they take several months after oral argument to write the opinion. And then when they announce the judgment, which is to say who wins in the case, they also issue their sometimes very lengthy opinion. But they don't have to. Traditionally, after the judges or after the justices hear an argument, they go back to their chambers and they vote amongst themselves which way that they're going to rule. And then based on that, the opinions are assigned, and then it's several months process. But they usually know that day who won the case. So what I suspect is going to happen this time, and why I think the justices decided to schedule this argument the way they did just a few days before the law goes into effect, is that they will hear the oral argument, they will vote, they will decide. I think they will rule in favor of the government, but either way, they will vote. They will
think so,
announce that
too.
decision very quickly, maybe that same day, certainly within a few days. And then they will say, and our opinion will come at some future date. So we will know the answer to whether the law is
Okay.
upheld or not. It may take us some time to know the legal rationale behind that.
So my last question to you is, if the ban goes through, what will that look like for users?
So that's
Bye-bye.
not entirely clear, actually. The ban does not prohibit users from using TikTok. It does not prohibit TikTok from existing. The ban prohibits app stores like Apple and Google from distributing the app. And it also prohibits cloud service providers like Oracle from hosting TikTok on their servers. Now, what that means is that it's quite possible that on January 19th, if the law goes into effect, users who already have the app downloaded on their phone won't actually notice a difference because the app will continue to operate with TikTok TikTok servers as long as TikTok has moved those servers abroad. It may also be possible to use the TikTok app, TikTok service rather, through the web browser. There's some complications there. But I think what is likely to happen is that if the ban continues for days, for weeks, for months, over time, service will degrade. And the concern for TikTok is that although the most sort of hardcore TikTok users will always be able to use the app, at some point it may become so inconvenient for regular users that they leave in droves to competitors like Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts. And at some point, TikTok will simply lose the kind of cachet that it has in the critical mass of users that it currently has in the United States.
Yeah, and the biggest thing with a lot of these apps, I know from working with a company that has an app that's in this area. And a lot of the things with these apps and what you want to see is users, you're gaining new users, you're generating new users, the app is growing, can increase growth on a daily basis. And if they're not able to host the information on these servers and you're not even able to download it from the App Store, it's great for everybody who already has TikTok. But if it's not growing, then it's going to be kind of stagnant. And really, as a content creator who's on these platforms, you're not going to have an incentive to use it. So y'all let me know what you think about this. What's going to happen moving forward? Do you think the judges are going to say, yeah, we're going to stick with what we initially ruled? Or will they give Trump a chance to figure everything out? Let me know what you think in the comments and in the chat. Shout out to everyone who just stopped by too. We still got 1,000 of y'all up in here. Ma Teresa says they should have banned it from the beginning when it started, not after people relied on it. Could have been a chess move. I remember America banned us from selling cigarettes one at a time. They weren't getting money from Lucy's. Yeah. It always comes down to the money, man. Oh, wait, hold on. I should have listened all the way through first. Dilo says, oh, so we can still use it. Oh, I'm good then. Yeah, they just probably won't. The platform's going to get a little stagnant, I think, because people will just be running to other platforms that are constantly generating new users. Because you have that, it's easier to get your stuff shown to new people. They're going to wait till Trump gets in. They need to let us keep it. Man, y'all love you some TikTok. I've never scrolled. I've opened TikTok, I post, and then I leave. It's one of the few platforms I do that with. Anton Bishop says people put the same video up they make on every app anyway. That's true, except who is it? Is it YouTube now? YouTube, if you try and post TikTok videos on YouTube, YouTube is not playing. All right, we don't want to post it here. Tory not suffering, he chilling. People need to stop. All damage. Listen, I'll be right here over doing time in prison until 2029. He's eligible for parole. So, I mean, he's okay. If you say so, I'm not going to trade my life for Tory Lanez's life right now. All damage control on everything she has been called out on in her special way. I have it, but don't go on there unless someone tags me. Okay, we've got another thing going on with TikTok as well. I want to get into, and I'm still waiting for this hearing to start. We might not be able to catch it today because it looks like we don't have any updates on what's going on with this Supreme Court hearing, because I wanted to find out what's going on there. Either way, let's go ahead and get this one in here. So I want to do a little bit of rewind and go back into seeing what happened with the Supreme Court leading up to this decision where they told Trump no, we're not going to do this. We're going to keep moving forward. Here we go.
Well, the Justice Department is asking the U.S. Supreme Court to bypass President-elect Donald Trump's attempt to delay a TikTok ban from going into effect. Attorneys for Trump filed a motion with the Supreme Court to block a law that would ban TikTok in the U.S. on January 19th if its parent company ByteDance doesn't sell it. Now, last month, the president-elect said he wants an opportunity to find a political resolution. Lawmakers have said the social media platform is a threat to national security because of potential Chinese government access to U.S. consumer data. The Supreme Court will hear oral arguments this Friday, January 10th.
All right. Now, fast forward again.
The TikTok ban is set to take effect on January 19th, unless the Supreme Court takes action. Join us now for the legal proceedings.
Let's see what's going on
until
legal
that
side
deadline.
of this.
Nikki Kristof, CEO of consulting firm Kristof and Company. She's worked on the Hill for John McCain and in Silicon Valley for Google, Uber and Salesforce. Nikki, thanks for joining us. Just what's likely to happen in the next couple of weeks in your view?
Thanks for having me. So what's going to happen, in my view, is that the Supreme Court is going to uphold this ban. It's a really well-written law. The First Amendment, arguments have totally failed, and they have no real reason not to uphold the ban. Now, President Trump, which we can talk about, has weighed in with an amicus brief asking them to delay past his inauguration, but I think this goes forward on January 19th.
And what would that mean at that point?
So we don't know exactly what we don't know what it'll look like for users. It means that the app stores can no longer let people download it, so Apple, Google, but you'll still have TikTok on your phone. Whether or not it'll work is sort of to be seen. It's up to TikTok what they do with user data. Ultimately, though, eventually you will have a worse and worse product experience because you won't be able to upgrade it. It could also just go completely dark on the 19th. We just don't know.
I think it will. Because think about it. Why would they continue to host on these servers if the user rate is just going to go down? I mean, people have been hearing TikTok's getting banned, TikTok's getting banned. And even though they're used to having it, is there an incentive for content creators to keep posting on there to continue to generate content for TikTok? I'm not seeing it. And I think a lot of people are going to pull back and they're going to start doubling down on Facebook Reels or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts in the meantime, because most people I don't think are dedicated or committed to these platforms like they think.
So this happens, go a month after that, and it's okay again. Can the genie get put Humpty Dumpty go back together again?
It actually could be paused by the president after he is inaugurated. There's a provision for a 90-day pause. So if he says, listen, ByteDance is looking to spin this off, they're doing things to do that, he could pause it. It's possible. But the Supreme Court's the highest court of the land. To undo this, they would really need a new law from Congress.
Yeah.
Well, why he would do that? I think.
Right?
He's ready to, he's ready to annex Canada. This doesn't seem like much of a stretch.
Well, I mean, you make a good point, though. He's been really busy with other things like the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, that's a joke, but also immigration, tariffs. Day one, they're talking about pardons. This may not be the very top of his priority list, but he can pause, see if he can get a legislative solution, see if he can negotiate something with ByteDance. He'll have to talk directly with Chairman Xi Jinping to come up with something to do, but he could do that. And I think he's indicating he wants to do that because he has 14 million followers on TikTok.
I know. He likes TikTok now because it helped. I guess Barron told him you got to do TikTok. But
he's also got Kevin O'Leary saying he wants
shout out to Barry.
And Kevin O'Leary as well. He's got all that Bitcoin, all that FTX money. FTFC. I forgot already. Remember the guy?
Yeah.
FTX.
Yeah, FTX, that's one. Okay. Too many letters. Words. Are they stealing everything that there is to know about our youth in this country and using it to subvert the future of the United States or not? That's what I don't understand. That was the whole idea, wasn't it? Right. Has it been happening? And if so, then it doesn't matter whether it helped win an election. It's an insidious thing that probably shouldn't be around. Which is it?
Well, one thing that we don't know is what is happening in those national security briefings. So when the law was passed, a number of lawmakers were skeptical. They went in and got an intelligence briefing and came out and said, I'm supporting this law. President Trump has seen those briefings. We have not seen them. So
Right.
we don't know exactly what's happening, but it is certainly true that the CCP has shown that they are interested and active in manipulating public discord in the United States, and they could also be surveilling people. Now, the American public
Of course they are.
to shrug this off. 170 million people don't mind having a surveillance device in their pocket, it seems. But
I mean, but all these other companies are doing the same thing. Y'all mentioned Mark Zuckerberg, Meta, doing the same thing. YouTube, well, maybe not YouTube. I don't know. I won't get into Google and YouTube, but we know they're listening. They know they have our data. Everything's being surveilled. Even there's most recently a lawsuit that came out against Apple saying that Siri was listening to some of the things that were going on. So we can't get around it. People shrug it off. It's because I'm sitting here at my desk and I could have my cell phone completely turned off and there's something in this room that's listening or in the next room that's listening. It doesn't matter. Alexa.
But they've not seen all the evidence. So we haven't seen it. Members of Congress have. Both President Biden and President Trump have seen that information.
Nikki, is it possible that all the phones are sending info to the drones?
Correct. Yeah, beautiful messy ball. That's right.
It is possible that they are violating terms of service from the app stores and collecting things on all of our phones. Anyone in Washington, where I'm based,
Right.
who works in national security does not touch TikTok. They believe that it could scrape information. I think most teenagers don't care.
Nope.
Right.
And that's why we said, and I mentioned earlier, the reason and the issue is because it's China doing it and not someone in America. They don't want to give China anything for free. And y'all know Trump's stance when it comes to China as well.
They don't have
and
a whole
Biden,
lot.
really.
I don't know what China's going to get from looking at what teens talk about. Not a whole lot.
Of course
they
you
probably, if they do look at it, they probably say, we don't have to do anything. The U.S. is going to happen anyway. Nikki, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say one last thing is President Trump has said over and over that one of his big concerns is this is a boon to Instagram. Mark Zuckerberg is the biggest beneficiary of this ban. Everybody on TikTok can switch immediately to Instagram Reels. And so there's a reason we're seeing him on bended knee this week. I think he's making a case for the ban to go forward.
Well, so Trump, he doesn't know what to do at this point. Now he likes Zuckerberg. So I don't know that he may be rethinking the whole position. It's interesting, enemy of my enemy analysis on all these things, Nikki. That's where we are. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So there it is. TikTok is looking like it's going to move forward. We're not going to get into the whole Mark Zuckerberg situation. They recently came out and said that he's going to be changing things when it comes to content moderation on Meta, more introducing community notes over the moderation features they had moving forward. So it's seeming like he's moving towards having a better relationship with the incoming president. We'll have to wait and see on that. When it comes to TikTok, let me know what y'all think is going to happen, because we're waiting on the Supreme Court to hear the oral arguments and make a decision now. Will it move forward? We'll have to wait and see. And I appreciate y'all letting me know what's going on too. Shout out to Beautiful Messy Balls in here talking about China is also manipulating the algorithms and dumbing Americans down. Don't for a second believe they are putting the same information out to their people as they are ours. Yeah, and I think it was it MSNBC that did that special on what China shows? There was a special done. I think it was MSNBC probably, or maybe it was NBC. There was a special done basically showing the difference between TikTok, what TikTok shows to Chinese children and what TikTok shows to Americans. And there's a big difference. Like they show in China, they showed more educational, more things that are friendly to their country. And on the American side, other things were pushed in a different way. So that was interesting to see as well. Alexa is sketchy. I got rid of mine because it would pick up and respond to random things. The moment Alexa told me, good morning and have a good day, unprovoked, unasked, untalked to, you even knew it was a problem with my phone. Oh, Lord, Alexa. TikTok is going to stop these ladies dressing in bikinis. The 304s are never going to start 304 and Mr. Brown. They will always find a way. It's what they do. So no, the bikini bouncers will prevail over anything. Cockroaches will die. The country will be demolished in nuclear war, but we will still always have bikini bouncers, okay? They're not going anywhere. Shout out to the bikini bouncers in here. All right, I've got another topic I wanted to get into, but man, should we do it or should I save it for Monday? What do y'all think? Y'all want to get into one more thing? Amy said the bikini bouncers. Shout out to the bikini bouncers in here, man. Yeah, I read an article about Zuckerberg moving towards free speech. Not sure how true that is, but it's out there. Yeah, I'll find it for you. And I'll play this for y'all. Mark Zuckerberg. In case y'all missed this, let's see what Marky Mark is talking about. We got CNN again. Why am I being fed CNN BS?
Once again, it's about.
Dang, y'all see this? They're trying to corrupt me. Let me see. Of course, Fox is spinning it the way they want to. Mark Zuckerberg is admitting that he pushed for censorship. Oh, that would be an interesting one. Fox is. They go too far sometimes too. I just want to see his actual announcement. Let me see if I could find it. The bikini bouncer. Yeah, Grace, I know it's rough out there, man. Shout out to Dottie. Appreciate you being here.
Hey, everyone. I want to talk about something important today.
Shout out to Mark. All right, here we go. I'll play this for y'all. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system.
Oh no!
Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse.
It was funny. I saw somebody said on X, they said Mark Zuckerberg, what was the quote? It said Mark Zuckerberg is now going to allow transphobic content on Facebook. I'm like, man, boy, people out here reaching like crazy. That is not what he said, but still.
What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far.
I mean, isn't that where we're at in 2025? If you don't agree with somebody, then you should be shut down. Isn't that what most social media has done? Isn't that how X was proven to be before Elon Musk took over? Come on, Mark.
I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms. Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violations.
It's crazy.
Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high-severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action. The problem is that the filters make mistakes, and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms.
Here's the problem. People have been complaining about this on Facebook for years. When it comes to a Facebook store or Facebook Marketplace even, so many issues with Facebook Marketplace. Things being taken down if you try and use music or certain content on Facebook. It gets taken down. If Facebook sees something they think is possibly inappropriate or they don't like, it's taken down, taken down, taken down. Facebook's moderation was absolute garbage. And so I think this is going to be good for them. They should have moved to this system a long time ago. I just think the timing is funny, as a lot of y'all have pointed out too.
We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down. Fourth, we're bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed. So we stopped recommending these posts.
It's making people stressed.
But it feels like we're in a new era now. And we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again.
What?
So we're going to start.
Y'all hear this? Hey guys, I'm Mark Zuckerberg, and I'm switching up based on the political climate. You know, the last 4 years, we had an administration which, let's be fair, they really wanted to censor what was going on. You had to believe a certain type of thing, you had to feel a certain way, or you were ostracized. And here at Meta, we wanted to encourage that. Now moving forward, it seems like truth is back. And we want to allow people to have their opinion and not be shamed for it like the previous administration. So we're going to pivot. I'm going to flip the switch and we're going to go the other direction. Come on, man.
Start phasing this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive. Fifth, we're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas.
No, he's pulling the Elon Musk for real. Shout out to Elon for paving the way. He's doing literally exactly what Elon's doing with X. This is crazy. Not only did he shout out Elon Musk and X for the way they moderate the content, but now he's saying, yeah, we're moving out of California and we're going to Texas. California is, boy, they're in a tough spot right now. What is going on with California? They showed, I'm not going to get into the governor.
We work to promote free expression. I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our teams. Finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more. The US has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. Latin American countries have secret courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the US government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it. It'll take time to get this right, and these are complex systems. They're never going to be perfect. There's also a lot of illegal stuff that we still need to work very hard to remove. But the bottom line is that after years of having our content moderation work focus primarily on removing content, it is time to focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our systems, and getting back to our roots about giving people voice. I'm looking forward to this next chapter. Stay good out there, and more to come soon.
All right, well, hey, shout out to Mark for making smart moves, I guess. I just wish this had happened sooner. I'm with y'all. I'm a little bit older, so I'm more used to Facebook, and I don't use the platform as often because a lot of what I do, especially on this channel, it has content that I use where I play artist music or even playing my own music I've had issues with on Facebook. So I'll be interested to see the changes they make specifically in Facebook Marketplace and when it comes to posting videos and other content, because Facebook, it's just not even manageable as now. I know someone who had one of their biggest platforms on Facebook. It got taken down because of some weird moderation copyright issues. So it's a welcome change. I'm here for it, and we'll have to see what they do. Shout out to Mark for making a change, though. Sorry, Grace. Hey, yo. Grace, close your eyes. Oh, man. I'm getting in trouble. He's lucky Republicans are woke. My gosh. ClassE, do you know about the social media ban for minors in Florida? I did see that. Yeah. Y'all want me to talk? Are we pivoting? Are we pivoting in 2025? We're going to be talking about more than just what's going on in the music industry. If y'all want me to talk about that at some point, I definitely will. And I can give my thoughts on the ban for minors in Florida. It's always interesting when it comes to conservatives specifically, because a lot of conservatives, and I would say we, but I would consider myself a straight conservative. When it comes to conservatives, you know, they push so much for smaller government, but when the government steps in and bans something like this, they're like, yay. So it's tough. It's always a tough instance for me like this. I think people, they just need to be involved in their kids' lives. I mean, can we start there? But if you want the government to get involved in this, fine. I just don't think, it bothers me when certain conservatives want to have it both ways. So anyway, I'll keep it at that. Y'all are saying it's time to pivot. We're moving. We're growing over here in 2025. It's not just about the music industry anymore. Okay. Axel Will said maybe speak about common sense. Well, thankfully Trump's getting back in office and maybe we can have common sense conversations, but under Mark Zuckerberg and Joe Biden's world, that was not the case. So we'll have to wait and see. Gladly, we're off Jay-Z finally. Anton Bishop, man, he's about ready to throw Jay-Z under the jail. I just wish it never happened. No American should ever want to suppress another countryman. People have just gotten so sensitive, especially over the last 4 years. There's a reason why, but it hasn't even been 4 years, but specifically the last 4 years. I mean, it's wild. I didn't hear about that, but yes, it's time to pivot. All right. Well, I'm slowly starting to do that. I think y'all have probably seen over the past couple of weeks, I've been introducing more non-music industry related topics. So, you know, part of my goals for this year was to be able to branch out and discuss other things like this, like legal issues with TikTok, the changes Meta's making. So we'll start to have more variety on the show. And I appreciate y'all letting me know what you want to see and what you like about the show, what you don't like about the show, the things that you're seeing and hearing. Y'all can always reach out and let me know, especially in the comments in the chat, what you're seeing, what you're interested in, because that really does help me get content for the show. And it just helps us have great conversation as well. So I appreciate y'all, man. Les Cleaver in here with the 5 bomb. He says, y'all all be safe driving out there in the snow. Stay warm, and I love you. Y'all all have a great weekend and stay warm. Thank you, Les, and thank you so much for the support and for being the sponsor of today's show too. Gifting 20 memberships. My gosh, Les is out there going crazy. Oh, Rice Street's in the building. When did you get here, Rice Street? Rice Street, you better not be out there driving. You better not be driving in this weather, man. I'm gonna be hurt, man, if you're out there driving in all this nastiness. Michi says, how many times have you seen babies in strollers with a tablet or a phone? Lord, that's a parent trying to keep them quiet and not engaged. Parents should control content. My kids don't even know how to use an iPad, and that's not a flex. I mean, they've seen it and they've worked with it a little bit, but they're still younger. I cannot imagine just sticking my child in front of a device like that. Like, we spend time interacting with them, making sure It's a lot. It's a lot. Rice Street said just pulled up at home. Much love and respect. Okay, good, Rice Street. I'm glad you're out of this nasty weather. But yeah, man, just stay involved with your kids, man. Stay involved. Y'all even see Dottie up in here. Dottie's up in here active, showing love, having good conversations. I wanted to get into Marcellus Wiley because we talked about this. Was it yesterday? And y'all said you wanted to hear about this Marcellus Wiley deal, but I might have to save this until Monday. I know. But I'm going to save this till Monday. Basically, Marcellus Wiley was commenting on what was going on with Joy Taylor, Skip Bayless, and everything on Fox. And he was talking to Jason Whitlock, and he brought up his lawsuit that he was facing because of, y'all know, there was an act that actually allowed people who had been victims in the past. It extended things so they were able to bring lawsuits for it. And Marcellus Wiley was one of the people who had a lawsuit brought up against him. Now, it was kind of overshadowed because we were mainly talking about Diddy and Cassie at this point. But Marcellus Wiley, he was being sued for something that happened while he was in college. So I was going to get into that today, but we're probably going to save this until Monday. I know y'all said you wanted to talk about it soon. So make sure you tune in to Monday's morning show. We'll be talking about what's going on with Marcellus Wiley, as well as some of the news that happens the rest of this afternoon and over the weekend. If y'all haven't yet, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time we upload a new video or go live. Make sure you like the video on your way out as well. And tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are going to be live for the Song of the Night Live. If you enjoy music from independent artists, if you want a chance to win some cash just for tuning into the show, make sure you tune into the show tonight. You'll actually get an opportunity to vote and decide who your favorite song is on tonight's show. So make sure you stop by. Y'all, please be safe out there. Prayers out to everybody who's in California. I know I have some family and friends who are out there praying for y'all. Please be safe. And again, make sure y'all keep letting me know if there's anything that we can do to help out. You were saying, we had somebody mention earlier donating to the Red Cross. We'll definitely be doing that as well. And as always, y'all know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. Be gone. Peace.